I'm going to Dresden to find out why the right-wing AfD emerged as the strongest party in the German state of Saxony. A party known for slogans against refugees, politicians, and Islam, and sometimes against immigrants, people like me. My name is Maissun Melhem, a reporter at DW. I'm German, but I was born in Syria. Long before the civil war erupted there, I went to Dresden to attend university. My city has changed. Right behind the main train station, my first encounter with the new political power here, the AfD, a sticker from its election campaign, "Take Your Country Back." A puzzling slogan that apparently hit a nerve here. I studied in Dresden 10 years ago and came to love the city. But the election result confused me, and I want to discover what's behind it. It's not so easy. Many people won't immediately admit that they voted for the AfD. Susanne Dagen is different. A Dresden native, she makes no secret of her political convictions. For more than 20 years, she's run a popular bookstore here. She used to always vote for the conservative CDU party, but this time she voted AfD. So you voted AfD because you support their platform, and not like so many as a protest vote.
Definitely, but the two things aren't mutually exclusive. Protest was also a big part of it. I was protesting policies that as a conservative voter I could no longer support. My vote was also a protest vote against all the things we experienced these last 2-3 years. And what society as a whole experienced. In my opinion, it's clear that laws were broken.
Chancellor Angela Merkel's decision to allow 1 million refugees into the country was for many the main reason to vote AfD, even if for some it destroyed friendships and more.
I thought it was wrong from the start to stigmatize the people who took to the streets and spoke their minds.
Did you have to pay for that?
I definitely had to pay for that. My experiences these past 2 years have been very painful. From being stigmatized to having people try to, in their words, impose a general boycott to rob me of my livelihood. One of my very few fundamental democratic rights is the right to seek change. And it's my right as a voter to tick the box on my ballot wherever I think it belongs. Not just for me, but for society as a whole.
Dresden is a cosmopolitan city, renowned for its architectural beauty and a tourist magnet. Many of its residents are relatively well off. Despite the so-called refugee crisis, the percentage of foreigners living here is under 7%. In districts like Gorbitz, however, there's a strong sense of discontent. 1 in 3 voters chose the AfD. Many are disillusioned with Germany's mainstream parties.
What's happening here now is very unjust. We're being cheated and lied to on all fronts. It's going from bad to worse. They're all just trying to grab what they can, and the people are left with nothing.
Taxi driver Robert Richter is just one of the people disappointed with the federal government, above all its refugee policy. Even if fewer refugees have been arriving, he believes they should all be sent packing. The sooner, the better.
I don't think Dresden is right-wing, but I do think that we've been overrun. They're told to come here and work, but then they don't give them a work permit. They get up to no good. When they arrive, all we've seen is that they are given welcome money to the tune of 1,000 or more euros. They've got brand new shoes, new cell phones, new clothes.
The migrants, you mean?
Yes, the migrants. And what do we have? We have jobs, go to work every day, even when we don't like it. And still all we have is a minimum to get by on.
But you do know that the most they're entitled to is 400 euros a month. The basic unemployment benefit plus insurance. They only get what any other unemployed worker gets.
That's possible. I have to admit, maybe I don't have all the information. But I do wonder then how they get all that new stuff.
False rumors of welcome money and more. It's a testament to the economic fears that motivate many AfD supporters in Dresden and elsewhere. Until now, the left was the dominant political party in eastern Germany, but now these areas have swung right. I asked political scientist Werner Patzelt how that adds up.
The Left Party, which emerged from the communist successor party, the PDS, was the main outlet for opposition and mistrust of the federal political, economic, and social system. This overall sense of mistrust is what motivates the anti-foreigner Pegida protesters and AfD voters. The AfD platform also has a strong social and political component. It portrays itself as the party of ordinary people, people who are threatened by immigration, particularly immigration into the welfare system. There's a sense that they pay so much into the social welfare system, but others profit from it. That social and political component and that sense of mistrust is central to the AfD. So the old PDS Left Party and the AfD have more in common than you might think.
I head for the Neustadt district. Hardly anyone here gave their vote to the far right. A good friend of mine from university lives here. Kerstin Quandt grew up in the former communist East Germany and has spent most of her life in Dresden. She says the AfD has been able to tap into anti-democratic sentiments that have deep roots in Eastern Germany.
Naturally, there's been a strong nationalistic shift, especially in rural areas, to the point where far-right ideology has been making a comeback. I believe it still existed under the radar in communist East Germany. It was swept under the carpet and never dealt with because it was glossed over by ideology. To the outside world, people presented themselves as socialist, anti-fascist, anti-racist, and so on. But in people's heads, for some people back then, they never really made that mental switch. They just suppressed what was bubbling underneath the surface. And now it's coming back up to the surface again.
Kerstin also teaches and takes me along to her art class nearby. A spirited debate erupts as soon as someone mentions the AfD.
Why didn't the established parties listen beforehand and say, people, things are going wrong here, we've got some problems?
So does that mean that you are also unhappy with the election result in Saxony?
Well, I'm not sure I'd say I'm unhappy in Saxony. I believe most AfD voters don't support the party's platform. It's just protest, because no one is listening to them.
I didn't vote for the AfD myself, but I also didn't vote for the established parties because they no longer represent voters' interests.
So everyone who voted, they didn't vote out of conviction.
The problems that the AfD addresses are problems that everyone has. During the last legislative period, no party really addressed them. For a long time, none of the established parties sitting in parliament really wanted to address the fears people have.
They didn't want to hear them.
I feel very uneasy when I look at what's happening in the districts of Dresden. One district goes entirely for the AfD, while the other one entirely backs the left. These are extremes that have huge potential to ignite conflict and blow up. That's what I find worrying.
An explosive situation. That's why many would rather not speak openly about their opinion of the AfD and how it's changed the city. An old friend also voted for the far-right AfD. He wants to remain anonymous out of fear of being ostracized and of repercussions at work. How does it make you feel when you see AfD leaders trying to cast German history in a new light? When they say things like, Germans have the right to be proud of the achievements of the country's soldiers in the Second World War, and so on. Are comments like that shocking? Or do they hit a nerve and motivate people to vote for the AfD?
I assume that some people voted for the AfD because they approved of statements like that. I personally thought many of the things the leaders said were inappropriate and unpleasant. I didn't vote for the party because of those statements. I voted for the AfD because I was disappointed with the other parties. I cast my vote for political change, though I don't think it will make a difference.
But I can already detect a difference in Dresden. 10 years ago, I received a generous and warm welcome here. It helped me bring out the best in myself. Newcomers arriving here today are certain to find that harder to do than I did back then.